Welcome tonight on our seminar about the sailing instructions and notice of race for the upcoming LPRC regatta, which will be October 27th, 28th, and 29th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But before we start talking about that, I just want to remind everybody that this coming weekend is the Wooden Boat Festival in Madisonville. My boat, Ondine, and Hooper Harris's boat, Amity, will be on display over there. The other thing that we're doing, which may be of more interest to you, is that we're having a cruise over to, from wherever you come to, over to Madisonville, with the idea of some of the boats rafting up in the bend in the river just north of the bridge going into Madisonville. Some other boats are tying up at the marina, but Al has been organizing the cruise over there. It should be a lot of fun. The weather should be great for doing something like that, so please think about doing that and hope to see you over there, one way or the other. So tonight, we've got a special guest that's helping us with this, Dave Bolliard, who is by far more of an expert on sailing instructions than I am. So Dave's going to be helping us go through this. There's 3 documents that we're working from. One is, and all of these I tried to send out to everybody. One of them is an outline of questions about LPRC sailing instruction issues that I sent out last night. The other one, another one, is the notice of regatta that for this year's LPRC. That's available on the LPRC website, saillprc.com, under the documents section. I sent a link to that to everybody last night, and maybe the document, depending upon the way I sent it. And then the other thing that we're going to be working from is last year's sailing instructions. This year's sailing instructions haven't been finalized yet, but you'll get a copy of them at the skipper's meeting on the Thursday before LPRC. They'll also be available online once they get posted. But it should be very similar to the SI that we had last year. So that's what we're going to be working through as a guide. So first thing is Dave wants to talk a little bit about the...
I gotta come up there for the camera, right?
Yes.
Oh boy. Scary. Okay, so we're gonna just kind of start, okay? We'll catch up with all that. The notice of regatta, excuse me, if you want to go to Annapolis or St. Pete or anywhere in the country or the world, they will have a notice of regatta. And the notice of regatta through this sheet should tell you, is my boat legal? Do I want to go to this regatta? How much it costs? And the basic venue of the regatta, okay? And that's why I wanted to go over that, because this is where we're at. First thing you have right there is the rules. The rules are going to be governed under, okay? And we always go, in the United States, go under the racing rules of sailing. And then we're going to be going to the posturing LPRC bylaws, because there's some things like with spinnaker sizes and jib sizes for the non-spinnaker. The ratings, they're going to tell you whether it's one design. Now, if this was a one design regatta, they would give you a anticipated list of boats, you know, Optimus, Lasers, 420s, Vipers, what they would anticipate, okay? And then you have your eligibility and entry, and y'all ask questions. You know, we're waiting on to get that rolling. You can ask questions all you want. And then, then you have eligibility. You got to, you know, file for that, obviously, to get in the regatta. And then you have your divisions. And then there'll be 3 divisions here: spinnaker, racer cruiser, and non-spinnaker. And then they tell you how many boats you have to make a division. Then they tell you, you gotta have 5 boats for a single one design. That's your J30s, your J80s in our world, okay? And then they'll have a bit of a description of your boats. Go ahead.
So, we were talking about racer cruiser and racer cruiser spinnaker, all of it. So that's why there's another division called model.
Correct. Yes. Now, we're going to get into, that's a good question, because we're going to get into that later, because where that really comes into play later is how spinnaker and racer cruiser, their courses. They sail very different courses. And it's a really good system. Southern Yacht Club developed this system years ago, and it's really, it works out well. Okay, y'all finally got that up.
Got that up.
So
wait, David, are you going to define racer cruiser versus a non-spinnaker versus spinnaker boat? Are you going to define that later?
yes, yeah, that'll be coming up. And it really ought to, at this point, it'll in this regatta, it'll be what kind of courses you're sailing primarily. I will go into, since you're asking that question, I'll go into a little more detail about those 2 divisions that's not really here, okay, while we're here. And then the non-spinnaker, they go into, what jibs you can use. And then I think in the SIs, they go into how far your staysail has to be tacked back. There's a whole list of GUI rules. I wrote most of them and broke all of them. That's for sure. And then it'll go to the fees and registration. All this is really basic stuff so far, okay? And then this is where it gets to be a little bit interesting. If you read the 4 to 5 races for spinnaker, 3 races are scheduled for racer cruiser and non-spinnaker, with the possibility of 2 more at discretion of the race committee. All right, so, can I throw on the board?
Sure.
We're going to jump over a little bit to the SIs, just so while we're here, from last year.
Now, one thing that is different about what we're doing this year is that we are starting the race on Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We started earlier, so there's likely only going to be enough time for 1 race for the racer cruisers and non-spinnakers on Friday. We'll just have to wait and see how it turns out.
So you're going to have that nice picture later of the diagram, right?
Yes.
I'm just doing this real quick while we're here.
I can shift to it if you want.
No, I'd love to do it. If you skip to that, that way, that would be just great. Because this is where people get confused. Okay, so here we have, if you look over here, and this is it's a great system. This is your racing boats. They're going to do windward lewards.
That's the spinnaker division.
That's your spinnaker division. They're going to do windward lewards. Lovingly, I call this the Brontosaurus class. This is your racer cruiser and your non-spinnaker. And Southern developed this, first time I've ever seen it, and it's great. You do 2 races here. These boats do a big old race, and everybody kind of comes in about the same time. It's really great, to tell you the truth, if the wind's halfway decent. The odd thing, there's 2 little odd things. If you're racer cruiser or non-spinnaker, you're going to sail through, they want to do you a beat to get you going. It may be right past here, okay? And you may take off wherever, okay? But what's odd, the most odd thing is that you're going to finish over here, not where you start. So,
It'll be close, but it...
It'll be right over there. But they gotta separate the boats because they're coming in at different angles, okay? So if you have GPS and I go off my little tangents while I do all this. When you're checking in and everything, we're gonna go over that later. Just because we have this up, put your GPS coordinates in at your start. Okay? Doesn't have to be to the perfect. And then, especially racer cruiser and non-spinnaker, you won't be going for the finish. So that just.
Yep, good. And we'll come back to this slide and go over it more later on.
Yeah, just while we were there. All right, where's my sailing instruction?
David, are these courses all set up so that you can see the markers? Or do you have to be able to have a GPS coordinate in it?
You may have trouble seeing the marks for the non-spinnaker and racer cruiser.
Correct.
Correct. So, but the race committee, if we use that course, they're going to tell us what the bearing is to the windward mark and the distance to it. So it should be dead to windward, so all you have to do is tack dead to windward, and then you will eventually see it. And if the, go back to that slide, I made this drawing rather quickly. I'm going to make the drawing that goes in the SIs. And what this should show is an isosceles right triangle. So that means this leg, which will be a reach leg, and this leg, which will be a reach leg, should be almost the same length. This will be a 90-degree angle here in this corner. And this will be a 45-degree angle up here. So all you have to do is figure out what your course is so that you have 45 degrees between the reciprocal, between this course and where you end up. It should be, I can go over it later with a simple way to calculate it, but it should be up to this one, then do this one, then go around till you're 45 degrees, head to this one, and then turn 90 degrees and come back to here. Any questions about that?
Yeah, right here. Sorry. It says it right here. Unless you're using fixed marks.
Yes.
That takes, and that's why you got to have your NOR and your sailing instructions. And you got to read them. Because that one little verbiage right there could get you all messed up.
And I talked to the race committee person today, and what she said is that most likely for the Friday race on the South Shore, they're going to use fixed marks, which are going to be the South Shore NOYC and Southern Yacht Club marks, and not do this. But on the North Shore, we'll probably do this green triangle for non-spinnaker and racer cruiser because we don't have as many fixed marks to work with.
And you can actually go to either New Orleans Yacht Club, it's on here, where all the marks are, all the angles from all the marks. It's very detailed, okay? So that's for the Friday. If you're sailing non-spinnaker or a racer cruiser, and you go home, this is the sheet.
That's the table.
It's very detailed.
Hey, David, on the Great Race, those marks are encapsulated in the sailing instructions. So if somebody were to go there, that's where they are.
Okay.
They've got it all right there.
So the race that might happen on Friday will be very similar to the kind of thing that was used for the Great Lake race.
Right, yes. Yeah, it'll be very similar to that.
So the racer cruiser, it's entirely possible that you wouldn't get to fly spinnaker at all.
Oh, no.
No, it's going to be set up hopefully so that there's a windward leg and that there's spinnaker legs.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, say it again?
Okay, on this triangle right here, we've got the wind coming from the top. You can see the wind arrow right here. So this would be a beat up to windward, spinnaker leg, spinnaker leg. But if we use fixed marks, just like in when we sail on this North Shore in fixed marks, it's going to depend upon where the marks are and what the wind's doing, whether it's going to be a spinnaker leg, too close a reach for the spinnaker or whatever.
It could be very similar to our North Shore racing right now, except that you are going to start upwind.
Right.
Okay? And then you're going to go to J or Delta or S or T or something like that, okay? But you're going to go upwind the first time. Okay, so and then we have all the trophies and everything. You have your disclaimer of liability, which means nothing. Nothing. And then they have proceeds in this regatta that go to, to the yacht clubs, which is really nice. I think it's really cool. And then, all boats, you have to have U.S. Coast Guard required equipment. You have to have a functional VHF radio. I suggest 2, a boat one and a handheld, okay? And then, obviously, they go through the docking and whatnot like that. So, let's just say we want to go to a regatta, and Matthew, our sailing director, wants to go to a regatta in St. Pete. Now, it's not going to look like this. It's going to be a one design regatta, but it's going to have all the basic information that is in here, okay? So, that's your NOR. And you see, it's got docking and launching and the areas and whatnot like that. So you want to go over this? You want me to?
You can start on it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the last page. Al's got a question.
I'm sorry. I called up about slips up here when we come on the distance race. They said basically just come get a spot. Is that,
On the bulkhead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's stuff in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing we need to do ahead of time.
For South Shore, you
Yeah, we're
will,
coming from South Shore.
okay.
The distance race when we come up, they said
Okay.
just grab a spot.
You'll need to get a green sticker in the water.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. We've done several cruises.
Now, did they say where they didn't say
So you want to
where
sit
the
fast.
notice boards were or anything?
Yeah, they do.
That's in the
That's going SIs, yes.
That's in the SIs.
Turn south on the station.
Okay.
So when I looked at actually, there's a lot of boats coming up Saturday for the distance race. I don't know if there's enough spots along the bulkhead.
They go like 3.
We've had 100 boats in this regatta, and the most we ever had that I knew docked out here, we did it Mediterranean style, was 60.
I remember going through.
Mediterranean style. Unfortunately, a huge storm came through, and I wish someone would have had a video because it was total chaos.
Yeah.
No, we were calling people in Alabama and Mississippi. We were cutting locks, stealing anchors. Bob Doolittle gave us so much line, rolls of line. It was bad. Yeah, but so I don't think we're going to have the Mediterranean style. The most boats we're going to have over here are going to be, there's 25 boats right now, 18 max, and we can handle those. That's easy. So here's some questions that we kind of thought of, skippers mostly. And this is kind of all my pet peeve stuff. And we'll go over this in the SIs because we have time. How will any change or notice be posted? The sailing instructions, which we're going to go through, that we're kind of pre-empting this, under the heading of notice to competitors will state where the notice board will be located for each day and whether the changes will be posted online or on the regatta website.
Yeah, so if you have a copy of last year's SI, you can look in here and see the notice to competitors, and it tells you where those are going to be. We didn't make slides for every little thing on here, so just look at the copy there. If you need a copy, don't have one, there's some extra on this table here in the middle.
Particularly at Southern, because their notice board tends to move or be obscured.
Ours doesn't.
NOIC's doesn't, but Southern's can rotate, so you'll need to pay attention to where it is.
Yes.
And you brought up a good point when we were talking about, is like designating a person to go look at a certain time.
We're going to get to that. On the bigger programs that we do, like Palermo's and all that kind of stuff like that, well, we'll hold on. It'll tell you when they have to have the change that morning. So if the race starts at noon, 10 o'clock, they can't change it. So we send someone over to the official notice board. These days, it's take a picture and then come to the vote. We have plenty of time. Okay? To that point, where are our flags?
If there's an amendment, take a picture of the amendment with your phone.
No, that's what I'm saying. You take a picture of the amendment. Okay, if there's no amendment, you've taken a picture, there's no amendment. If they have an amendment, they should have a flag up. The notice has been posted, the yellow and black. Come within hail. That's on the vessel, but they should have that on a flagpole or something like that. And all 3 yacht clubs have a flagpole.
Yeah, so if you see, that's the Lima or L flag. If you see it on the flagpole, that means that a notice has to be posted. And the last year's SIs say that it have to be posted 2 hours before the first warning. So there should be ample time for doing this. So that would be on a flagpole ashore. Then you know to go look for a notice.
So then, just how will I know what division or class I'm sailing in? Well, you need to figure that out well before. Am I going racer, cruiser, racer? And basically what we went over earlier, in this regatta, when we're talking about this regatta, that really has to do with a lot of your race course you want to sail in. Okay? All right? So, race boats can be in racer cruiser can be in race. There's no distinction. Right now, it's what course do I want to sail. Okay, where do you get my streamer? Because everybody don't have a streamer. You get that at the skipper's meeting Thursday night.
Where is the skipper meeting?
At Southern Yacht Club.
It'll be a Southern Yacht Club.
What's a streamer?
It's a green, blue, red little strip of sailcloth you hang off your backstay. Or if you don't have a backstay, you just kind of pin it to your leech of your main, or you put it on your starboard
That
shroud.
indicates that you're registered for the race. Each boat's supposed to have that to indicate that you're in the race. What's that for?
After you register what class you want to sail in,
The streamer tells you what class.
Yes.
it'll be in your packet.
There's a different color for each class, and if you look in the SIs from last year, you'll see that they've said under number 6, class flag.
We have the
It shows-
SIs from last year.
Yes.
Okay.
So with the group meet, will there be a group meet chat that could be set up for this LPRC that like the any kind of last minute race committee changes could be put on that chat?
No. We can set up one among ourselves, but the race committee, this race committee operates in a very formal way, and they are not going to do communications outside of what it says in the SIs. Some race committees, we have different race committees that work for LPRC, but this group of people is going to do it pretty much following exactly what's in the SI. So you have to be on your toes. Some guys
It's
get
old
on the...
Old
Yes.
school, the race committee never, ever, ever, ever spoke to you. Now you go to big regattas and the race committees, good morning! This is our intentions for the day. The breeze is out of this condition, da-da-da-da, and they yabber at you all day long. And that's good.
Great.
We hope they're gonna do that a little bit, but we're not expecting it. Nothing against them, nothing against them.
No.
It's legal. Okay, now here's the crust.
Mamsie?
Oh, okay.
Pull up that diagram. This is where
Which diagram? The course
of checking
diagram?
in, of everybody staying out of the way.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yeah, okay. Pet peeve. This is your race committee, and this is your start buoy, okay? We drew these lines because if you start on right here and you go on the port tack, that's your angle, basically. If you start to pin and you go that way, that's your angle, basically. And then you have a box, okay? A lot of regattas, if you go in the box and you get caught a couple times, they will penalize you. There's no penalty for being in a box, except you may hear some really cool sailing words. So my suggestion is, for Friday and Sunday, there's going to be a gap between the racing and the racer cruiser, correct?
Yeah, between Spinnaker and Racer Cruiser, yes.
Okay. Makes it pretty easy on Friday and on Sunday. Stay, unless you're getting ready to start, stay here. The one design kids, the Opti kids, 9-year-olds, when they finish, they know sometimes to go over here. And almost a whole fleet of kids have been taught, and this is where it's just this big gaggle of boats. So other boats can finish, or slower boats can round a mark that they still may be rounding. Do not go up here. If the first class starts at 10 o'clock, vacate that 5 to 7 minutes without fail before the first start. Come around over here to one of these corners. Now, if you have multiple classes starting, you're going to be kind of down here, okay? And then as you get up towards your 5-minute gun, most of the class in front of you is going to be right up here last minute, minute and a half. So you can start pressing up to the bottom of the box. You know, I'm talking, depending on the wind, looking around, looking at the streamers, 50 to 75 yards, okay? And a really safe place to be is right over here, because when you come in to the box, you're on starboard tack. I'm not saying you gotta start on starboard tack, but you come in on starboard tack. Do we want to go over the check-in while we're here?
Yes.
Okay, another big thing. Everybody's got to check in. And you got to check in on starboard, close to the committee boat. All right? So you're going to see a parade of boats coming around. Before, remember that black and yellow flag? Don't check in before the black and yellow flag, because they're not really officially prepared. Once the black and yellow flag, that means they are on station. You just come around, yell your cell number. You're not required in this regard to wear your life jacket. Many, like the offshore races, you're required to wear your life jacket to check in. And there are some regattas now that are requiring you to start in your life jacket, but now the sailing instructions could change. But right now, we don't think that's going to happen. Okay?
I'm sorry, I missed is there a flag that indicates it's time to check in, the black and yellow flag?
The black and yellow,
But that's also the flag that says that there's a change.
Right, changing the,
a change in
Yeah, so maybe the orange flag
yeah, but
should be.
they're on station. And the black and yellow, when it goes up the flagpole, we're on station. This is our station. The flagpole is our station, which means to go to wherever the amendments are. Okay? In other words, the black and yellow says, come to me. Okay. Come to me. That's basically what it means, all right? But I thought this was a really cool little drawing we did. It really, puts it out there for you. And
Now, one thing to add is that this is an imaginary box. At some LPRCs, they've actually set buoys out to mark the corners of this, but they haven't done that for a few years. So the streamers on the backstays on boats identify what group they're on. So you can look at your SIs and see what group is starting. You want to stay completely clear of them. Now, Dave made a good point about hanging out over in this area. There's going to be people that are going to come up to do a starboard tack start in here, but you don't want to hang out over here because then you can't see what the race committee's doing. And as Dave's going to emphasize later on, the thing that counts with the race committee is the flags actually moving, not the horn signals. So you want to be able to see what's going on the race committee, and when they change the course marks between Windward Leeward and Racer Cruiser, you want to go see what marks have been done. So if you're in Never Never Land, you may have trouble getting back to the race committee boat to see what the course is before you're actually starting. So don't get too far away from them.
Correct. But you want to be able to, especially when they make the switch from the Windward Leewards over to the Racer Cruiser and the non-spinnaker, there's going to be a change in, some kind of change in course. Some kind of change.
And if the wind stays the same and we're using that green triangle, all it's going to do is they're going to lengthen the distance to the windward mark for the Racer Cruiser and non-spinnaker boats. But if the wind is shifted a little bit, then they're going to need to reposition the windward mark for Racer Cruiser and non-spinnaker to match the current wind so that we have a true beat. And then they'll have to reposition the reach mark also, but that'll happen that day.
Yeah, that's why they say they have a 5-minute break. That's not guaranteed.
It could be longer than that.
It could be longer.
So the Racer Cruiser and the non-spinnaker are going to have the same course?
Yes.
Almost always.
Almost always. From historically, yes.
And so if you're in a Racer Cruiser, you got to be able to fly a spin?
Yes. No. If you enter Racer Cruiser, you're going to be rated as a spinnaker boat. If you don't fly the spinnaker, that's okay. If you know you're not going to fly a spinnaker, be in the non-spinnaker class, and then you'll use the ratings in effect for non-spinnaker.
That's just picking who you want to race against. So for the Saturday distance race, when this is for safety, they do this for like LPRC and a lot of other regattas. They'll do a little short half-wind beat, a half-mile beat, okay? And that's to separate the boats a little bit, because chaos, when everybody starts on the reach, it's blowing 25, it just can get not pretty. So they do a little half-mile beat, and then they'll designate all the buoys that you go to, you know, whatever that is, okay? They may shoot us straight across to Mandeville. They may go up the Delta. They may go to the 8-mile hump. There's no telling. But it's going to be in a general westerly direction, northerly direction, because that's where we're going. But that's just, don't be surprised when you see a little half-mile beat there.
I got a question. So in between the spinnaker and Racer Cruiser, the flag goes down for the start. Normally I would think, okay, we've got 5 minutes, but that might not be true.
What Skip has asked, theoretically, they're going to do a 5-minute break. But that does not mean they have to.
Okay.
They can do a rolling start all they want.
Okay, I understand. It could be, you got 5 minutes, you got to watch the flags to know what they are.
You got to watch those flags. That's the whole key.
The finish line for the distance race, do we know if that'll be a fixed mark or a temporary?
It's going to be at M1,
M1?
They don't now.
or at least that's what the idea was today. It almost every time that I have done that race, it's ended at M1, and I think that's what it'll be. Then the question is whether we'll use the J mark as a mark before M1, or maybe the L1 mark before M1, or maybe go straight to M1. Those are still under discussion.
Okay, thank you.
So then in our sailing instructions seminar, we have a couple pictures of some boats with some flags up. There's no color, but you can see like this one boat is really amped up with their flags.
And then I didn't put the amped up one in here. I just put the other one, and I wanted to make sure that if you don't know this, the orange flag here is the end of the starting line. actually the pole that it's on, not the flag itself. So there should be, the person who's calling people over is standing and looking from this pole over to the pin. So it's not the bow of the boat, it's not the stern of the boat, it's not the buoy being towed behind the boat, it's this flagpole that the orange flag is on. So you need to see the orange flag so that you know where the committee boat end of the starting line is.
And conversely, the blue flag for the finish. That's the finish.
Yes,
Correct.
the same way, yes,
And not the end of the boat, no, it's the blue flag is the finish line.
yes.
Now, they don't show it on this boat, but that was a good deal, because sometimes they have great big boats, and it could be 40 feet where that orange flag is, you know? But a lot of boats, especially if it's a nice privately owned boat, they'll hang a buoy, a hippity hop, about this big, off the stern of the boat, about 6 feet. That is the boat. If you hit that buoy,
Yeah, but I like the ball.
you gotta restart. Because that guy likes his paint job.
Yeah, so,
I don't blame him.
so if we go back to the picture of the starting area, there's the race committee boat. It could have a buoy hanging off here, off the end of it, which it did last year at LPRC, and some people ran over that buoy. But that buoy is not to be run over. You can consider that to be part of the race committee boat, and if the race committee wanted to give you a penalty or something because you hit the buoy, they could do that.
Oh, yeah. If you're starting and you hit that orange buoy, you've got to reroute. So what happens if I'm over early? You need to go to the SIs. Basically, you got to restart. Just say we have our starting line.
Oh, let me go back to it.
That's okay. If we over the line early, we have to either tack around the race committee, which sometimes is best. If you're way down here at the pin, it's just a lot easier just to go around the pin. That way you know for sure you have restarted. If you're in the middle of the line, you got to duck down, and the race committee should dip the individual recall. It's not their responsibility.
What does that mean?
It's up to you.
What does that mean, dip the original recall? Whatever you just said, does that mean?
Individual recall. We want to show those
Yeah.
slides?
So dip means bring it part way down. So that you, yeah, the flag, as like an acknowledgement that they have recognized that you restarted. So here are the two flags. X-ray, the X flag, is the individual recall flag. And the race committee should put that up if they are recalling individual boats. If so many boats are over or the line's so crowded they can't tell, they may put this flag, the first substitute, up, which means everybody has to come back and restart. The race committee should sound a sound signal if there's a boat that's over early, but the onus is 100% on you to determine whether you are over early or whether you started on time, and if you are over early, you have to go back and restart. You can't later say, well, I didn't think I was over.
And they aren't going to call it.
And they have no obligation to call you on the radio. They may do that, but
They want to do that. They try to do that, but it's not their obligation.
it's your obligation.
And the general recall, if they do a general recall, the whole sequence will start over.
Yeah.
It's not, just go back and start again. Everybody needs to restart the whole sequence.
Right, so then there'll be another warning. And we looked at the rules the other day, and what's going to happen is if your class is over early and there is a general recall, then your class will be the one that starts next. It doesn't go all back to the end of the whole thing. So the class that's over early will restart with a warning and then go through it.
Okay, so what happens if I'm late for the start? That's where you got to go to your SIs. The SIs will tell you what that means. As y'all are getting a good gist here, the SIs are very important. You know, you just don't grab them at the race, at the Thursday night and toss them. You're gonna see all the good people going, okay, 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 okay. Because they've done it so much, right? They'll look for the one little oddity, you know. But if you haven't done a lot of this, you really need to look at them well. And there'll be a bunch of people that just ask somebody if you have a question.
And I write notes in my SIs, what times I think we're going to be starting if we follow the sequence, and just different things that, because I've studied them before getting out at the starting line.
And then what safety equipment do I need to have on board? The SIs will tell you, basically it's U.S. Coast Guard. If you're not comfortable, my thing is, okay. If I have foul weather pants on, I wear my life jacket. Period. I don't care if it's cold and 3 knots. I wear my life jacket. All right? That's just my rule of thumb. You do what you're comfortable with. And don't be shy. Not too many people have life jackets on. When we were doing it back in the 90s, when we were doing all these national events, all these things we got around here we won, one of the big thing is that they would ask us, they say, like Ben and Tom and myself and Hugh and Brock and I mean, everybody, the whole, go home and wear your life jacket. If they see the cool guys and the cool girls wearing life jackets, and I tell you, it works. You know, I mean, you just, if you feel uncomfortable at all, put your life jacket on and buy a good one, okay? Mine's like 30 years old. Okay, what if I want to protest another boat? There's a couple things you have to do. A, don't do it, but if you want to protest, that's fine. You have to fly a red protest flag. It needs to be approximately a 9-inch square, not your girlfriend's underwear.
Not a t-shirt.
Not a t-shirt.
Not a hat.
Not a
It's gotta
hat.
happen. They're getting tougher all the time about how quick. In my life jacket, I keep my protest flag right here, zipped up. Or you keep it in a pocket, okay? One person should be designated. Maybe it could be the skipper, the tactician, someone who's been on a boat a bunch, someone who's doing the pit. But you shouldn't have to run down below and get it, okay? I'm not saying to protest. So you have to fly the red protest flag. You have to call the sail number of the boat. Not, hey, blue boat, you made me mad. US 5461, protest, okay? And then when you finish the race, you have to notify the race committee. And then once the race committee comes in, they'll fire a horn, get started before it, and you have 1 hour to file your protest traditionally, okay? And then wherever the notice board is, or whatever, you go to the notice board, or there'll be someone scoring, like we always know the scoring done right back here. Take it into the scoring people and say, I have a protest. Because the first thing you do when you get into a protest, and that's one of the things we want to do this winter, is actually have a full day of protest. It's really actually fun. I've done it before, not a whole day. It's fun. You got to have all this stuff done in a timely manner. You know, protests are never fun, but like I tell my kids, as you get better and faster, you're going to get up there in the hunt, and you're going to get in protest. That's just the way it is. That's sailing. There's course time limits, and those are underneath the SIs. And if you decide to run out, or if you decide to drop out of the race, you need to notify the race committee. Mm-hmm. If you can't notify the race committee, and you can notify another boat around you. And then immediately when you get in, or within cell service, call the yacht club and let them know what's going on. Because they will be looking for you. Okay?
This is a drawing to try and illustrate what you should be looking at when the starting sequence is going on for your class. And I found this online somewhere, and I thought it was really good because up here at the beginning they show the race committee on station. Up here forward they have the orange flag, which designates the end of the starting line, but there's no class flag flying. So what's going to happen at the warning, 5 minutes before the start, is there's going to be one whistle sounded, which is a courtesy and it's not official, but the class flag is going up. That's the flag you want to set your watch to. Before this, there may be a bunch of blasts on the whistle to get your attention, but the thing that you want to be looking for is the second that class flag goes up, because that starts 5 minutes. You're not racing at that time with the racing rules, but that's 5 minutes.
The class flag is the same color as the...
As the streamer, yes. Yes, and so you have to know what colors they are. And you have to be close enough to the committee boat to see them. Yes.
5 minutes before the first class goes, or 5 minutes before your class goes?
Every class.
Every class.
Every class.
It's going to be rolling. There's always going to be a 5-minute sequence. And then so we've got the Spinnaker division, which may have 3 or 4 classes in it. So they'll go through 3 or 4 sequences of that. Then there's going to be a break before the racer cruiser class, except on the distance race, where they reset the course for the racer cruiser. Racer cruiser class is going to start, and then its start is the 5-minute warning for non-Spinnaker.
So we'll get the same flag, same horn.
It'll be the same sequence, but watch. So here we have the warning.
Yep.
So 1 minute later, another whistle signal.
Now
but-
you're racing.
Right, you're racing
4
now.
minutes you're racing. Rules.
So technically, you can have your engine on. Let's say it's really light and you need to get up to the starting area. You can have your engine on in gear, pushing you up to the starting signal. But you have to have your engine off before this flag comes up.
Gear off.
Out of gear.
Out of gear.
All right, so you're technically racing when that happens. Before that, the rules, the regular rules of the road, the inland navigation rules, are what's governing boats that aren't racing. But once you start racing here, then the racing rules of sailing take over, and they govern all the things there. So the next thing that happens, that's at 4 minutes before the start. There won't be any other flag or sound signal until 1 minute before the start, and then the prep flag goes down. And all you'll see then is your class flag. 1 minute before the start, and there should be a long sound signal, but of course that's not official. And then when the start happens, your class flag comes down, and if there's a next class, its flag goes up. It'll be just like he did. Shwoom.
There you go.
But this is the sequence, and the official thing is the flags, not the sound signals. Any questions about this?
All right, we're almost an hour.
All right. Let's see if there's anything else. I think we got it. Oh, one of the things is, if we go back to this, the drawing that shows the courses, and Dave mentioned this, but I want to go over it because this confused me the first time that I raced in LPRC. These marks, the turning mark, the downwind turning mark, the 1A and then the 1B marks are for the Spinnaker class. This offset mark is to give more room in the area of the mark because of boats coming in different directions. If you're racer cruiser or non-Spinnaker, these are not marks in your course. You don't have to honor them any kind of way.
Don't hit them.
Don't hit them. But I got confused once because this downwind mark was so close to the starting line, I thought it was the end of the starting line. just because of the different sizes of the buoys. But expect there to be this downwind mark, but make sure that you know where the end of the starting line is and that it's not this downwind turning mark. And you should know that by the race committee is going to set this up square to the wind, so this is going to be definitely upwind of the mark right here. Any questions about those marks? If you're in sail and spinnaker division, you don't have to worry about any of the other marks. And remember, for racer cruiser and non-spinnaker, there's going to be a separate committee boat off to the side. It's going to be a smaller boat, just a rib or a whaler or something with the blue flag, and that's what you look for your finish. It should be close, but it's going to be off to the side. Anything else?
I see everything there is on the port tack. When you finish, will your committee boat be to your starboard side as well?
It should be. That's the way I remember seeing it done.
That's the way it's shown there. I just want to
Yes.
make sure, yeah.
Yeah, this is the drawing that I've modified out of the SIs, but I can't remember in any recent races the committee boat not being on the right side when you're facing up.
It'll be on that side.
Now last year, the scat boats, the marker boats, were hovering around in this area, and it was really hard on the first day of races here at Mandeville to tell which boat was the committee boat, because the scat boats had flags up too, and when you were far away, you couldn't tell whether it was which of the three boats it was. But just be aware of that, get binoculars, and look for the blue flag on the committee boat.
I think the reason they do this, I don't know, but if they don't, it's a good reason. When you got boats starting here, they're on starboard tack. These boats on the long leg are spread out. They're going to be coming in from port somewhere, or maybe dead downwind starboard. These boats are going to have right of way. If you put it over here, you got boats going up, a pack of boats going upwind on port, and you could have a starboard tacker coming downwind, and that would cause more chaos. So whoever thought of this, I don't know who did, I think it's very smart. That's good.
So, any other questions that you might have? Anything that we didn't go over that's on the outline or that you thought of before you came here?
And I would just recommend you take these SIs home. They're not exactly perfect, and just go over them pretty good, and they're going to be slightly modified. That's all.
So you can ask questions to the other Corinthians and other sailors. So if you have a question, you can ask Skipper or Dave, or like you can't ask race committees. So like I can't answer any questions, and Mamsie can't, but other sailors can.
Yes.
So if you think of something, then write the Corinthian group. Just say, hey, how do you do this? There's no dumb questions.
Yeah, the reason that we're doing this is try to make the focus of this regatta be on boat speed and tactics and not on have I followed all of the rules. So we've gone over all the basic parts of the rules. If you get confused about something, we've got 2 weeks before the regatta happens. Send me an email or send a message on Facebook to me at Ondine, and I'll do my best to get you an answer for it.
There you go. And don't be afraid Thursday night, you know who the good sailors are. Don't be afraid to say, just pull somebody and say, hey, what is this? So.
You'll need to come to the skipper's meeting. They will have food at Southern, so it'll be a nice meeting. We'll go over everything. You'll need to know where the notice board is. You'll need to have your red flag on the boat. You'll need to know who else is in your class, what color is your class. All those little details will be gone over Thursday. So it's important that you be there. Don't send, a lot of people will send someone from their boat. If you're skippering the boat, you need to be at the skipper's meeting.
Especially if you're new.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Do you
mean,
know where the skipper's meeting's going to be?
We'll be in the grill, second floor. East, no, we'll be in the east dining room. We'll be in the east dining room.
Yeah, I'd like to say, thank y'all. This is very, very needed. I've screwed up a couple of times on the LPRCs, and if I'd had this, hopefully, I wouldn't have screwed up. So thank y'all very much for putting
Yeah,
this
and the
together.
two diagrams were everything.
Yeah,
You get a visual.
yes.
That's the
Great job, guys.
Thanks. Thanks.